Hello, folks. Welcome to Kudlow. I'm Larry Kudlow. All right, Joe Biden's still in a heap of trouble. And House Oversight Chair James Comer is going to be with us in just a second. Yesterday released a new batch of Biden business bank records on Hunter Biden payments from Russia and Kazakhstan oligarchs, now bringing it all to a $20 million web. Throwing in China, Ukraine, and Romania could easily be 30 million when it's counted up. Nobody can figure out exactly what Hunter Biden and his cronies were selling, exactly what goods and services they were offering. Sure looks like corrupt access and influence peddling, leveraged through then Vice President and now President Joe Biden. Let's get right to it. Here to tell us more is the man of the hour, Kentucky Congressman James Comer, chair of the House Oversight Committee. Mr. Comer, welcome back to the show. We appreciate this very much. I just noticed an answer. Our own Peter Doocy tried to engage Mr. Biden. He wouldn't talk about this stuff. He said it was a lousy question. He's still in denial about it, but you've got the bank account records. So doesn't that put some beef behind these charges?
Absolutely. We have their bank records. We already had text messages, emails, and photographs that showed Joe Biden was familiar with these people. And now we have sworn testimony from Devin Archer that they were marketing Joe Biden. And that's what they were doing to receive the money. They were selling the brand, and the brand was Joe Biden. And what they were selling was influence with our federal government. That stinks. The fact that our president of the United States wants to continue to play dumb and his friends in the corporate media go along with him, it's pretty sad. But I don't think the average American who's keeping up with this believes for a second that Joe Biden didn't have a greater amount of knowledge of what his family was doing. And we now know he communicated with all of these people who sent his family millions and millions of dollars.
Now, Chairman, you mentioned Devin. He was kind of the gatekeeper. Now you've got, I think, on the docket, and I'm interested in when he's going to testify. Everybody's asking you when's Hunter going to testify. But I'm more interested right now in Eric Schwerin, who was kind of the bookkeeper. Mm-hmm. He wrote checks. He was in charge of taxes. And there's a joint account. And this is so important because that joint account reaches in to then Vice President Joe Biden and maybe still to this day President Biden. When do you get Mr. Schwerin, and what angles do you think you're going to pursue with him?
Well, he's going to come in very soon and have an opportunity under oath to answer questions. There have been some initial communication between Sherwin and our office, but he holds a lot of answers to our questions. He obviously met with the president countless times in the White House when Joe Biden was vice president, when Obama was president. He did the books for Joe Biden. He apparently had the authority to deposit checks and write checks on behalf of Joe Biden. And his name is also affiliated with some of these shell companies. So Sherwin has a lot of knowledge. And, it's been very difficult, Larry, to bring these people in because, again, what was the business? The business was influence peddling, and that's kind of illegal because that would require you to be a registered foreign agent if that's what they were doing. And the fact that they were putting Joe Biden on the phone and possibly commingling funds with Joe Biden, that puts Joe Biden in a very, very bad place at the end of this investigation. So Sherwin is someone that's going to come in front of the committee, and he's going to have an opportunity to tell the truth, just like Devin Archer did.
Can we pursue that for a moment? That's a very important point you were making. So this guy Schwerin, this is all about foreign influence. This is all about registering as a foreign agent. These are all foreign funds. Okay, point number one. Point number two, as you're suggesting, sir, and as others have looked at this, these commingled accounts went into Mr. Joe Biden. I'm not really, honestly, Jamie Comey, I don't really care about Hunter Biden. I mean, I hope he stays sober. But I'm interested in Joe Biden. And these accounts go they'll go right into Joe Biden. That's the king. Now, I just want to ask you about that. Has anybody looked, the issue of failing to register as foreign agents or foreign reps is so important. And as you know, sir, you've got the blow-up of Hunter Biden's trial 2 weeks ago, I guess now, in Wilmington, Delaware, by this sensible judge, Noriega, right? That was all about blanket immunity with respect to not registering as a foreign agent. So, do the two converge in your hearings? Are you in touch with the judge? Does she understand you got all these bank accounts and who is engaged with them? And will we be able to pursue all of this with respect to the Hunter Biden trial?
The judge received correspondence from Congress about specific crimes that the Biden family has committed. In fact, she cited the failure to register as a foreign agent as one of the reasons why she rejected the sweetheart plea deal. It was her understanding that the DOJ was going to give Hunter blanket immunity over that when he clearly violated that law. And anyone that was in business with Hunter Biden clearly violated that law. And what it's looking more and more like, Larry, is the President of the United States violated that law because of his communication with these people who were sending his son money. Just look at the $142,000 wire from the foreign national that went to buy Hunter Biden a new Porsche. You think Joe Biden didn't ask his son, wow, that's a $142,000 car, son. How did you get the money to pay for that? I mean, the fact that the Democrats and the media want us to think that they only sold the illusion of access, or that the president in his 20-plus conversations with these foreign nationals only talked about the weather, should be insulting to every tax-paying, hardworking American. Not only did the Biden family receive over $20 million illegally from foreign nationals, they didn't pay a penny of taxes on it, according to the IRS whistleblowers. The IRS and the DOJ intentionally let the statute of limitations expire on much of this money that they knew they didn't pay taxes on it. They ran it through these shell companies, and they did that for two reasons. Number one, to hide the source of the funds, because they weren't supposed to be receiving money from foreign nationals, especially when their father was vice president of the United States and flying to those countries waving around foreign aid checks. And two, they did it because they didn't pay a penny of taxes on it. And just think about the poor old waitress that's working at a restaurant right now that's going to have to give a third of her wages and tips to the IRS in the form of taxes. And the president's son's getting diamonds from China, Porsches from foreign countries and foreign nationalists, and they didn't have to pay a penny of taxes on it. He's got all these LLCs that they never paid any taxes on the money they laundered from the foreign nationals. Everybody should be upset over that.
So the tax charges loom very large. A good point. But look, the vice president doesn't have to register as a foreign agent. It's Hunter Biden and Eric Schwerin and Devin Archer who should have registered as foreign agents. But my point is, if they're managing money and writing checks from these LLCs you just described, and you've had this on your docket, if that money goes to Joe Biden, I think there's a legal problem. In other words, sir, I know that this is about access and influence peddling. And I know that those are unethical, okay? We know those are unethical. The question I'm asking is there criminality? And so I'm wondering out loud, based on all of your investigations and more to come, did money from these funds, which some people say were commingled with Papa Biden, did they get to Joe Biden? Because if they did, sir, I think there will be criminality. We're going from ethics problems to criminal problems, busting the law. What you think about that, or where are you in your deliberations on that?
Well, we've talked to witnesses who have said that the president's son was paying for a lot of his basic living expenses. We have the text message between Hunter Biden and his daughter, where Hunter Biden's complaining that he has to spend half his income to keep his father up, to keep his family up. So those are two pieces of evidence that are very concerning to us. We've looked at Joe Biden's financial disclosure form over the years, and it's hard to figure out how someone that lived on a politician's salary can accumulate that much wealth. So there are a lot of questions, and what we've done thus far is we've built a case, Larry, to be able to win in court when we subpoena the Biden's personal bank records. When you see the chart that shows China and the heirs through the shell companies to the Biden family members, or Russia and the heirs through the shell companies to the Biden family members, we think there's another arrow or two after it gets into the Biden personal bank accounts. And that's what we want to look at next. But to do that, you have to understand, we're going to end up in court. And you just look at how much obstruction we faced from the Biden legal team thus far.
Yes.
We're going to end up in court. We're putting a case together that will win in court to where we can see if those arrows extend beyond the 9 Biden family members and go on in to pay for basic living expenses for the current president of the United States.
Yes, of course. Last one, Chairman Comer. We had Newt Gingrich on last night, and of course, Kevin McCarthy is talking about an impeachment inquiry, not an impeachment, but an impeachment inquiry. And the point came up with Newt that an impeachment inquiry would broaden the scope of the investigation. I asked 2 questions, sir, and I'll ask them to you. Do you need a special congressional resolution to call it an impeachment inquiry? And with respect to broadening the scope of the investigation, would such a resolution increase your subpoena power to go after different avenues of investigation? Because, as you said, you're not going to get any help from Joe Biden and Merrick Garland's Justice Department or FBI. So if you could just, these are somewhat technical, but I think they're important. Does the inquiry give you a broader scope, and does that broader scope give you more powerful subpoena authority?
Yes, it does. And that's why we're heading down that path. And I'm pretty confident that we're going to end up there very soon when we reconvene after the Labor Day weekend. I think we've built the case that we can now go to impeachment inquiry, and that's going to help us be able to access these bank records. If Joe Biden's innocent and doesn't know anything like he continues to claim to the media, then why not be transparent with his funds? He said when he was running for president, he would be the most transparent president in history. The Democrats took Donald Trump's taxes and released them to America. You know, why won't Joe Biden do the same with his bank accounts? I mean, we believe that there was commingling of funds. We've already proven that this family received over $21 million from some of the worst people on the planet, from some of the most adversarial countries on the planet, and yet they can't account for what they did to receive this money. And we know the president's son was living with him. We know that they spent a lot of time together. We know the president was on the phone with all these people. We know the president took some of these people on Air Force Two with him and our tax dollars. We know that they've had dinner together. So the evidence that Joe Biden was involved in this is overwhelming. And we want to know whether or not he benefited financially. We know his family did. That ship sailed. That's been proven. Now and it happened while he was vice president. I think that's an important thing that wasn't known before. The narrative was always, well, none of this money transferred while he was vice president. Almost all of it, Larry, was transferred to the family member while he was vice president. We want to know how much Joe Biden made off this. And if he made anything, then that's a crime, a very serious crime.
Yes, sir. That's exactly my line of inquiry, too. When you come back from the recess, sir, do you need a House vote to call this an impeachment inquiry to give you the expanded subpoena power? Do you need a vote?
I think that's something that McCarthy's discussing with counsel, and I think that he'll be able to answer that question very soon. I'll yield to him and let him answer that question.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time. We'll see if we can get him on and talk about it also. You've been always very accessible to us, Jamie Comer. And, Mr. Chairman, we appreciate it very much. Good luck.